Let's continue our learning in Likutei Halachos, Hilchos Chanukah. We're in Torah Halacha Daled, section Bet. And we're talking about the ideas of illumination of light, which is a godly, holy light, versus the illumination of fire, Me'ore Esh, which is light that gets contained or loses its ability to stand within holy vessels and becomes a destructive fire. Ki hadlakat nerch shel mitzvah. Because the lighting of a candle of a mitzvah, that we have a mitzvah that we light the candle of Chanukah, is an aspect of an illumination of light. Because the fire of holiness, dainu ner shel mitzvah, which is the candle of a mitzvah, the mitzvah candle, eno b'vchinat me'orei esh, is not an aspect of an illumination of fire. You might think, well, this candle is made of fire, so that's an illumination of fire. No. The holiness that we do this within the context of a mitzvah, the mitzvah provides a vessel so that the light that's transferred down from an infinite light to a manifestation of fire, that flame is, because it's in the vessel of holiness, becomes an illumination of light. Whenever we talk about light, we're referring to the light of the knowledge that everything is Hashem. That the main manifestation that we have, Hashem is infinite. Hashem actually is beyond infinite light. He created infinite light. So the main manifestation, the main way we relate to Hashem, as far as Hashem's transcendence, is in the idea of light. So when we talk about light of holiness, or the light of an illumination of light, we're talking about an illumination of godliness, as opposed to fire, which is a physical force and a destructive force. The Shechina, God's presence, is called, as it were, a destructive fire. As it says, Ki Hashem Elokecha Esh Ochlahu, because the Lord your God is a consuming fire. V'ita b'Zohar Kodesh, and the Zohar says, Shenikret Esh Ochla Da'achli Kula B'Shatzi Kula, because God is called a consuming fire, because the power, the light of God, is a consuming, destroying light. However, the nation of Israel, because of our special spiritual property, having a neshama, we are actually vitalized and sustained and nurtured and nourished through this light. As the verse says, that you, clinging to God, the Lord your God, are all of you alive today. That we receive our vitality and our sustenance from clinging to the holiness of Hashem. That meaning to say that even though Hashem is a consuming fire, and everything that is exposed to a full illumination of godliness is going to be consumed and burnt up in the aspect of consumes everything and destroys everything. But Am Yisrael is actually cleaving to this light and is not consumed by it, God forbid. It's the opposite. We are not destroyed by this. We receive vitality from this. As it says in that verse. And this is what is the aspects of illumination of light versus illumination of fire. Because the light, the infinite light for the nations of the world, is a consuming fire. And this is why, by the way, one of the reasons that a non-Jew actually is not allowed to keep Shabbat. It's not that it's not an instant. It's not a consideration of better than or worse than. It's in the consideration of different jobs. That the job of the non-Jew is to take the light that is channeled down through the Jew. The Jew we are called priests to the nations, and our job is to receive the illumination of this light from Hashem, and then the non-Jew is supposed to receive that light and disperse it within physicality. And again, this is the way that Hashem made it, one of the mechanisms that Hashem created to enable infinite light to manifest as finite physicality. And one of the main reasons that the world isn't just absolutely filled with blessing at this point is because of the mixed mixed up relationships that we have, that Jews act like non-Jews and non-Jews try to act like Jews, and this messes up and causes all sorts of confusion in the world, because it is opposed to the actual order with which God created the world in his infinite wisdom, to enable again the amazing absolute. If you think about it and you consider the idea of how does infinite light manifest as finite physicality, it's an amazing creation that is happening, that Hashem has created to enable our physical existence. So the non-Jews are not able to receive vitality from the Me'orei Or, the illumination of light. Rather, for them, it is a Me'orei Esh, it's an illumination of fire. Shem Bechina Tokef Adin Shel Shechina, which is the absolute epitome of harshness, of constriction that is in the dwelling of Hashem. In other words, if Hashem is infinite light, how does it come down to that there's an existence of a presence in this physical world? There has to be something called delineation and boundary. That delineation and boundary is the aspect of din. Din is constriction, is delineation, is boundary. So therefore, for a powerful light to have an ability to exist, to have an existence and the ability to continue to manifest in this world, can only come through a very strong boundary. So the tokef of din, the actual epitome of din, of harshness and constriction, is found in the dwelling of Hashem's presence in the world. And that from that din is the place where the spiritual root of the existence of an illumination of fire comes from. And therefore, the non-Jews are going to be consumed and burnt up through this fire. That it consumes everything and destroys everything. But the nation of Israel that is clinging to this and receives vitality from this, then through Am Yisrael, by Am Yisrael, this is an aspect of illumination of light. Because it's the opposite. We actually receive vitality from this light, from this what could be fire, and the main chiyut of the main vitality comes through the powers of mind, called the mochin, the aspect where the highest three sfirot are chokhmah, bina, v'dat, and that is where the infinite light starts to take its manifestation as physicality. And these things are not considered the actual traits; they are considered the illumination of light that will come down in the seven sfirot, which are the human, which are the embodiment and the manifestation of the human traits. As it says, chokhmah will cause life, or is the sort will engender life. And these lights of brain, of mind, are the aspect of illumination of light. So we see that by the nation of Israel, this power that comes down is not an illumination of fire, God forbid, rather an illumination of light, which is the aspect of life and mind. That's the aspect of what it says, that you are clinging to Hashem, your God, Chaim, you receive life. Because really, in truth, it's all one. Hashem echad, ushmo echad. God is one, his name is one. It's just that in the simple unity of existence of the Creator, that his desire was to create an experience of multiplicity. And so he created all these different aspects of multiplicity to enable, again, physicality and free choice. But in its root, it's a simple unity where God is one and his name one. And even the Sitra Achra, the forces of evil, the only ability of the forces of evil to exist is because they exist also from the place of the simple unity, which is and that simple unity is the root of holiness. So even the evil forces, even the absolute opposite, the antithesis of holiness, is still rooted in the place of holiness, because it all boils down to one simple unity. So the forces of evil cannot exist except because of their link into Kedusha. So we see that the illumination of fire is also rooted in holiness. Hainu kishnistalkin me'orei or shemechinat mochinam namtikin adin kishem nistalkin azai nishar tokef adin. That what happens is that when there's an illumination of light, when that is not manifesting, when there's not a vessel to receive the infinite light in a manifestation of light into the world, when that is removed, which is the aspect of the mind, the mochin, that the mochin cause a hamtaka. Hamtaka means sweetening. Whenever there is harshness, that harshness could overcome and wipe out everything, but there's a sweetening by illumination, and illumination of flow, which causes a sweetening or cooling off of this fire. So the mochin caused that, but when this is removed, then all that's left is the absolute epitome of harshness, of din. Umisham nechazim me'orei esh, and that is the manifestation of the illumination of fire. Aval Yisrael hadvekim b'shchina hem mekablim chiyut. But Am Yisrael, that is clinging to the Shechina, to God's presence, receives vitality. Ki nimshach aleim bechinat me'orei or, because they receive an aspect of the illumination of light. Bechinat mochin, which is the aspect of mind. Shehem bechinat chayim, which is vitality, which is life. Bechinat ve'atem dvekim. And this is the aspect of this is the spiritual root of the miracle of Chanukah. Because there was a kindling of oil, a kindling of a candle that had oil only enough to burn for one day. And it burned, as we know, for 8 days. That Hashem illuminated, showed through this, that his presence, the Shechina, dwells with Am Yisrael. And Am Yisrael, that we cling to the Shechina, are not consumed. Because that we should have been, we know that in history, any time that there's been a small, relatively weak nation, it's always been swallowed up by larger nations, and this nation, the small nation, ceases to exist, which is the opposite of Am Yisrael. We've been overpowered by strong nations, but in the end, we end up coming out and the strong nation doesn't exist anymore. There's not a hint of the Roman nation anymore. There's not a hint of the Greek nation, the ancient Egyptians. There's not a hint. There are people can say maybe they have some ancestry, but there's no body of people that call themselves, oh, we're the Romans from the time of the ancient Romans, or we're the Greeks. No body of people has that. The only body of people that claims a ancestry from those times is Am Yisrael, the nation of Israel. We receive, as we said, vitality from this, the presence of Hashem. The illumination of light. The aspect of God's holy name that was revealed in the miracle of Chanukah itself. And this revealed Hashem's presence we could see it with our own eyes. We could experience it with our own senses. Because it was clear. There was only enough oil for one day. It's not a you don't take a rocket scientist to be able to look at a certain amount of oil and say, oh, we have enough oil to burn for a certain period of time. So there was only enough oil for burning for one day, and yet, miraculously, this burnt for 8 days. And it was clearly something above nature, something that was a miracle, something that attested to God's presence being with Am Yisrael. And this showed that there was not the power of fire was not ruling, because the power of fire should have consumed the oil. Because we cling to the illumination of light. Because the fire consumes, it destroys, it burns up all the oil. And therefore you need a lot of oil according to the amount of time. You need a lot of oil that burns a certain amount of oil is going to burn in a certain amount of time. And again, this little bit of oil burned for a long time, which was opposed to nature. That through this miracle of Chanukah, when there was a revelation of the greatness of the holiness of Hashem in Israel, and there was a revelation and a empowering of the powers of the illumination of fire, and a diminishing of the powers of the illumination of fire of Eish. I'm sorry. There was a increase and a empowering of the power of the illumination of light, and a diminishing and a decreasing, a weakening of the illumination of fire. Asa Hashem yitbarach nes v'hara b'chush gam b'gashmiut she'en shlita lemorei eish rak lemorei or, that Hashem showed within nature that there was a power of illumination of light, and not the natural tendency of the illumination of fire, which would destroy, which would use up all the oil. Because the little bit of oil didn't just get used up like it should have. Because the power of the illumination of fire was diminished. That's what it says, that you who are clinging chayim are live, have life. Because that even though we cling to God, who is a consuming fire, chas v'shalom, we don't get consumed, God forbid, because this power is an illumination of light by Am Yisrael. Because this oil was sitting on fire. It was being used up by fire, yet it wasn't burnt up. And this also, there was a miracle that was known that happened in the temple, in the time of the temple, when the menorah, the 7-branched menorah, was lit in the temple, that the western candle did not go out, that it burnt continually and did not go out. It was dolek harbe banes. It was illuminated for a long time through a miracle. Ram Rabbeinu, and our sages say, Kiner hamaravi hu edut sheshchina shoreh b'Yisrael. And our sages say that this western candle is a testimony, attests to the fact that God's presence dwells with Israel. Because Am Yisrael is connected to the Shekhinah of God's presence, and we live and we're not consumed by the fire of it. But rather we receive vitality. And this was seen with our own eyes in the manifestation of this miracle in the western candle that stayed lit. Was not burned, that the oil didn't have burned up like it should have been. Because it was lit for longer than it should have been, according to the amount of oil. And this attested to the clinging of Am Yisrael to God's presence. Therefore, it was called testimony. Because you need to attest to this. You need to publicize this. This is something that needs to be made known. Because the nations of the world didn't believe it. And still it happens now. The nations of the world don't believe it, that God has chosen a people of Israel. The nations of the world don't believe it. Sometimes we ourselves have trouble believing this, because it's something that, who says? Unless a person delves into and looks in the Torah and sees all the amazing details of it and understands that no human being could have done this. Until that happens, people are mystified. What does it mean? How do we know we're a chosen people? Okay, we have a tradition, but this needs to be made known, that there's miracles, that there were all amazing things that happened. And when you delve into with an eye for truth, anybody who looks at the Torah with an eye for truth and talks to people seeking out truth and not with an agenda to make what they think be right, anybody who does this will believe in the absolute truth of Hashem, that God has existed. He gave a Torah, and He chose Am Yisrael. And the nations, non-Jews who do this, who look into this with an eye for truth, almost always end up converting. Because they say, how can you cling to this? This is why non-Jews have this idea of a middleman. They have a Jesus, who they say, well, Jesus was the physical manifestation of God, because they can't comprehend how could it be that we could hook up and be connected to the infinite Creator and not get burnt up by that. They don't understand that. That how can it be that in truth we're connecting to this, and not only are we not consumed, but rather we receive vitality from it. And this was seen in absolute clarity with the miracle of the Western candle. And this was called a testimony to everyone who came in the proximity of the Beit HaMikdash. It was a known thing that the Western candle didn't go out. And it was known that God's presence dwelled with Am Yisrael. Because we could cling to it. This was the aspect of the miracle of the Western candle. That the rabbi said, how is it possible that the rabbis asked this question, how is it possible that we can cling to Hashem, to cling to the infinite one who is a consuming fire? They said that really we can't connect and to even do that we have to have a vessel, and the vessel is Torah, and the person who has learned Torah and embodies Torah, he is that vessel. So when by a person who is not necessarily a Talmid Chacham, a Torah scholar, can cling to and connect to people who are, to tzaddikim, to people who have embodied made themselves absolutely pure to be a vessel for receiving this light, then we actually have the ability to cling to that. And as we've said before, the Christian idea that there's this middleman of Jesus is not a foreign idea to Am Yisrael. This is actually a key idea, except we don't deify. With the tzaddikim are a necessary intermediary to be able to hook up to the power of God and not be burnt by it. The Torah scholars, the aspect of the beauty of Am Yisrael, which is the aspect of illumination of light. And so it's through this that we can cling to him. And next time we'll continue with these ideas, and we will experience and learn how it is that we can be connected to and illuminate this illumination of light, as opposed to having it turn into an illumination of destructive fire, God forbid. Chanukah Sameach.